Hello again everyone, this is another one of our interior features vlogs, and this time we're looking at a really complicated area, and that's in our little engine room at the back. Not the engine room with the traditional engine, we have a modern one, but there's a lot of things going on in the back there, and this will take a lot of explaining and showing. So I think rather than me carrying on talking, we'll quickly get on with things, and hopefully you like what you see. First of all, I'll just show you a brilliant idea. This is in our bedroom, and this door here goes down like that, and again looks very smart. So just looks like a normal door. We'll now show you how everything works out. We open the door and just hook it on there, where you can see where I'm pointing to. So the door's open, and that's how now we're looking at the engine bay, so that can be shut off any time. Now another clever little piece. That's quite high there, if you see, to get up like that, but simple solution. There's your step, so you can stand up, stand on, and you go through. Simple but effective. This is what it looks like now, and I'll break all this down the best I can. We just always put, that's one thing what we do as well, all our ropes what we use when we're out and about, we never leave it out. We have another set, an older set for tying up and all that, because they soon deteriorate if you leave them out to the elements. Now, while we're in here, normally, but if you look there now, we've got a couple of diesel cans just as a backup for our diesel heating, our tank at the front for the fire. But normally in that space there, we have a tumble dryer what spins at 2,800 revs. Now that sits in that point there normally, but because it's getting towards winter and that now, and we won't be cruising significantly, it's not there, but it is fabulous, and we'll discuss that at a later date, because in this particular boat we chose, even though it can easily be retrofitted, but we chose not to have a washing machine. But that can be discussed in another interior vlog. Now on the left here are some boxes I made which serve two purposes. One is it stores all our gear without it being thrown everywhere and making everywhere look a mess and untidy, so they all go in there. And two, this particular one here, I'll show you in a minute, that allows Bernadette to be with us at the back of the boat all the time if she wants. And also, while we're here, that one there allows people to sit there when I'm at the back of the boat, because it doesn't mean you have to be on your own if it's a traditional boat. And I'll try to explain that part the best I can as well. And on top of that, we've put our tiller bar, and like I've told people before, tiller bar, hence the name, we are the tiller people, because that's what we need to be able to steer the boat. So we're all tiller people on narrowboats. So I'll try to do the best I can for everybody and explain everything, and I'll also, hopefully you'll see a few unique things. Well, it's really windy out, so you might just hear a bit of wind noise, but when we had the boat built, we had the hatch at the back of the traditional boat to be quite a long one, and that allows me to sit on this part here where the ropes are. Not sit, sorry, to stand. I stand on there, or Bernadette does, and then here Bernadette can actually stand on there, and that allows us to be here and leaning on there, so we're always together if we want to be. And it's the same for any guests we have, because we've had all three types of narrowboat designs. We've had cruiser stern, semi-trad and traditional, and after having the traditional one I could never go back to anything different, because it can be sociable and it's all down to how it's all set up, and people can still stay with you and talk to you if they want, that is. So that's just another little feature we did during the build. So we'll get on with a few more things now. So for now I've took out our seats, or storage cupboards, or boxes should I say. I've took them out for now so that I can get to things and show you various ideas that we've had. So we'll get on with that next, and hopefully you should see that with the right thought and all that, boating is made a lot easier. Now where I stand at the back, which is that piece of hardwood there, where on a traditional boat that's where you stand normally. If you look underneath, the top left is what is called a stern tube greaser, and you put grease in that and you just give it a turn and it seals, like there's a burring and a shafting underneath, and that grease just stops the water from coming in too much through the shaft, so it just drips occasionally if it's working right. And to the right I fitted that recently, and that's just a quick connection to a hose pipe. If I want to wash the boat down at night instead of using buckets, just connect it up, turn it on, and it just gives us the water at the nice pace we want. And then that's one of the vents, because ventilation is important throughout the boat. That's one of the vents from the engine. There's two built in what go outside, very traditional, but this is the other one, and again it's not the normal vents. We source these are very old solid brass vents from a house down London way, and we've got a few of them, and you'll see them as I show you show you a few other things. So they're not them anodized ones which tend to discolour and all that, so that's what's underneath there. There's plenty more to see, so we'll get on with it. Now at the bottom here of the cupboard there's a few things. There's the standard, we have a socket in here as well with a couple of USB chargers, which you just standard to plug your bits and pieces in. That is your immersion, and that's a 12 volt for if you just plug anything in 12 volt. It's just like a cigarette lighter. And this thing I'll talk about when I go into the more about the engine and our electronics and that. Now if you look up here, that's all our control panel, or our basic one anyway. They're all isolation switches, all fused, cabin lights, water pump, fans, anything like that, they're on. We always keep that one on the right there if you look. That's a bilge and it's automatic. Hope it never needs to be used, but it does it all automatically if something happens. And that's one of our chargers. We've not chargers, we look at the voltage, the charging system. Then we have the isolator for the 240 volt. And that is another vent as well, what we sourced. These are really heavy, but they do look really nice. So you've seen the sides, so we've got the basic panels there and a few sockets, and we'll get on to something else. Well, what you're looking at here is our deluxe control panel from Beta Marine, and that shows you your revs, the temperature of the engine and the volts. And this here, we got that fitted just like we did for the water. That's a gauge for the fuel, so we know where we are, because putting a stick in at the back now must surely be from an age gone by. But this just tells you everything, just like in a car, whether it's charging up, whether it needs oil, whether we've got enough water. It's got all the things there, and that's the stop button as well. You just press that and that'll go off. And we've got our headlamp, so when we're going through a tunnel, that one there on the left is the headlamp. That's our normal horn, because I've got a klaxon as well. That's a second bilge pump what we have. That's a manual one. And that auxiliary there is anything extra you want to add, but I think we've got enough at the moment. So, but it's there, it's a spare one when we need it. So that is our control panel, and we can keep an eye on things, to put it mildly, when we're going along. And these here, this is our throttle, so we just control that in the standard way, forward and back, you know. And if you want it in neutral, you pull it out, and you can just put the engine on, and it's just forward and back. That's the standard thing. That's our bow thruster. Again, that's a Noble's bow thruster. A lot of people have Vitas, but we picked a Noble's bow thruster, and it's quite powerful, that. And also at the top there, they're the overheat warning lights. That's if you leave your bow thruster on too long and it starts to, the electric motor starts to overheat, because there is an overuse of bow thrusters by people these days, but I only use that occasionally. But it is nice to have that. Now, like we've said, in the summer months when we're out and about, we have a spin dryer. It's because what we do, you know, it goes there, over there in this spot, because we'll hand wash our bits and pieces, and then this fast spinning dryer just basically dries everything, and you don't have to hang things up. Now, this is the other part. This here is a cupboard with our coats and that. I won't move everything, but it's a simple thing, this. We've got a vent in the floor and a vent in the roof, and all that happens is it's like an airing cupboard. The engine gets hot when we're going along, and anything damp, you know, say it's been raining and we put our coats in, the heat travels through inside the cupboard and dries everything out. It's just a simple thing what we thought of, and it does work well. And if we ever, because of all the stuff like our bedding and everything, we use launderettes, which we know where they're scattered all over the network, because there's a boot we've got what we get from a place, I think it's Aylesbury, but I'll put that on when I remember them. But we have a booklet what we get each year, and we know where the launderettes are, and we take all our stuff, let them do the drying and ironing and everything, and just pay our £7 or £8. Much easier than messing about with a washing machine, and that's from years of experience. So that's our choice, that. Now, over the years, we've had different sort of inverters, you know, if we want a bit of 240 volt and all that, and they were all manual, and you was clicking things over and that. And the other thing is, you can buy cheap rubbish inverters. They don't last 5 minutes, and they don't do any good with your batteries. Your batteries don't last 5 minutes either. So buying a cheap one from China, or you know, paying blinking 80 quid for one or something like that, it's not going to do much, and really it's compromising narrowboating. But I know some people use it, and that's fair enough. But this is our, like we've told people before, when we took our early retirement, this was our ultimate designed narrowboat. So what we did, it's important to us, so everything works, what's 240 volt and that. We wanted a really good, well, this is everything as I explain it, but something what uses what they call pure sine wave energy. And that means it's all very smooth and there's nothing going to click off because it's not compatible. Now this is known as a Mastervolt Ultra, and it does everything automatically, absolutely everything, and it's great. It's for a 12 volt system, but you can get 24. It's 3000 watts and it's 150 amp, and it's known as a mass combi. It's also got a built-in MPPT controller for solar panels, which is something I'll go into at a later date, because we're having solar panels fitted next year, because we thought long and hard about them, because we've got systems at home. We've got a massive system at home for solar, and we thought we'll have them fitted, even though you cannot be completely off grid with solar panels, and again I'll talk about that at a later date. But everything's automatic. If we go onto a 240 volt landline, changes over automatically. If it goes to 240 volt for the inverter, you know, we unplug everything, does it automatically. And it's got its solar stuff as well. So everything in it is done automatically, which is what we want. We can forget about it at that point. And it also, which I'll come to later, it also controls our 240 volt engine driven generator, and I'll talk about that later in the vlog. The turquoise thing there, what I'm looking at now, that is known as the Mastervolt Masterbus Shunt, and that monitors everything, and it prolongs battery life, power saving. It's very accurate, telling you the state of charge, and is perfect when combined with another Mastervolt product, which we'll show you in a minute. And it basically, it's a computer system, but I need to show you the other bit for you to get to know what it is. So that's the Mastervolt Masterbus Shunt. Now this device is called a Mastervolt Easy, and it's touchscreen, and we can see everything on this. It has everything built in. Alarms start to go off if all the batteries are discharged and we are continuing to use it. We can look at history of everything. Amps used, volts used, is the solar on and off, what day was it on and off, state of charge, the estimated time to charge the batteries up when the engine is running, and loads of other things. And it keeps all the historic data, and we can look at this, all this information on here, and it's just very handy, and you can see what things are drawing. So you know, if we put our microwave on, you'd see what it's drawing when it's on, and it can all light up. And now I don't know if you can see this, but you can it just comes on. Like, I'll just switch it quickly on, you'll see it light come on now. The light comes on and you can see data. We've set up a couple of main screens up front, but you just press buttons to go through it, and that just tells you what's what. That's just basically what state our batteries are at, which will be 100%, I would imagine now, because we're on landline and they'll be fully charged. But that's just sets everything up, and then it's got all the details below what we've set up. But you can put other things in that screen, and behind all that there's others. So we found that extremely handy. and it's very good for monitoring everything. So that's the Mastervolt Easy touchscreen. Now we've moved into our bedroom area, and there's a couple of things I just want to talk about in this regarding this particular video. One is, if you've noticed, you probably can hear the rain as well now because it's pouring down outside, but you'll still hear me. If you notice, all these, it's not just board what's put on with a few holes drilled in. When it's like that, it allows air circulation, because if you haven't got enough air circulation, it encourages mould in a boat. And all this is all, I know it takes a lot longer when it's a fit out to do this, but all this has been made to discourage any mould, so because it's got air circulation. Now there's something else here as well, because everything's sectioned here, but I just want to show you something else. And this is regarding, we've had one source of heat, and I'm going to show you something else now. And from this there is 3 sources of different types of heat. Sounds complicated, but I'll get to it, and then I'll explain things to you. Now all these, like I was talking about, all these pieces what have been put in come off in sections like that. Just move that one up there, out the way. Now then, if you look down here, most narrowboats have BESPOKEs, Makunis, Webasto central heating boilers. Well, apart from them being extremely noisy, they're not the most reliable things, because they weren't designed for narrowboats. They were more designed for in lorries and that. But if I had to have a diesel one, I think it would be the Cabola, the bigger boiler. There's a manufacturer called Cabola who make a really reliable boiler, and at a push an Hurricane as well, but none of the others. But what this is, if you're looking down at it now, this is a gas boiler. This is an oldie comfort. Now this is whisper quiet, doesn't take energy like the BESPOKEs and that, which take a lot of energy from the batteries, particularly when starting with the glow coil. But it is really, besides being really efficient with blue flame technology, it's actually really reliable. Absolutely. Everything's in place, but it's quite a clever boiler, this. Now we talked about the heating. We have the fire. Now this boiler can do a few things. It can provide heat for the central heating, which is easy enough, and heat for hot water. But also, if we wanted, it's got a little electric element inside, and we can use that and have electric providing heat for the hot water. We have other things as well, but in this little box here, it can provide hot water by gas, hot water by electric, and gas central heating. And it is so reliable. It is untrue, and it just ticks over and you can forget about it. So that's another thing we have in the boat, what majority of narrowboats do not have. Some do, but I'd say about 85% of narrowboats will have the diesel version. So again, something slightly different in our narrowboat. And there's other things I'm going to talk about as well when we move into the engine room for that particular vlog, and it relates to this as well. So that's the oldie compact gas boiler. Now, just before we finish with things, I've talked about, we've got all this in compartments, and that top left, what I showed you, that's the compartment where the oldie compact is. And then at the very back, on this side here, is another little compartment for putting things what you don't really need to access much. And at the front, at these two compartments, these here and one there, again we have something what's going to come in another, what we'll cover in another vlog. But what we find is that to keep taking your bed off to gain access to things can be very inconvenient. So we come up again with our solution when the boat was in build, and we'll show you that in another one of our interior vlogs.